Maybe you hear in the background, my youngest one is practicing chanting. And he's asking the universe for food and his mother. And hopefully his prayers will get heard. Many people come to the temple to meditate. And I always ask them, what do you want? And what do you need? They're looking for a more spiritual life. That's why they meditate. But they're afraid to say they want a religious life. And they've chosen Buddhism because they think Buddhism is very tolerant. But what do they mean exactly? At the end, they just want to say that it's good to do whatever you want. That everybody just should do whatever they want. But what is the center? What is on top? What is the summit of the mountain? And when I tell them that Buddha, after he got enlightenment, the main thing he taught was life is suffering. But this part we just neglect. What about the deadly sins? Lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. Especially pride and envy. And we always try to look at ourselves isolated from the culture, from the family, and try to make a wise judgment. How come we are so rich, but still we are becoming very sick mentally? Why do these people come to the temple? Because they're looking for a guide. They're looking for wisdom, the logos, which is the bright star which shows us where to go. As a monk, the contrast between the temple life and the marketplace is becoming bigger and bigger. And when I look around, it seems we are celebrating pride, we are celebrating envy, jealous, we are celebrating hate, we are celebrating laziness, and we are celebrating greed, gluttony, and lust. The best thing to avoid all of these is having a family. Even in the monastery, it's a big family. That's why you call your teachers fathers and brothers and sisters. So when I look at our society, how strange it is that we actually putting these deadly sins on top. It starts from your very self. And you always have these demons inside. And they're very noisy and powerful. So who keeps these demons of lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride in order? Do whatever you want. So which one of these 7 is screaming the most? It's like you have 7 dogs on a leash, and they know just one way. And you have to be careful. When you have them under control, they become the 7 capital virtues. If you do not have them under control, they will eat you. When you let them run, how so this virtue is a never-ending practice. So lust, you cannot get rid of the energy, but you can channel this power. So you have to sacrifice lust into chastity. You have to sacrifice gluttony into faith. Greed has to be sacrificed into charity. Laziness has to be sacrificed into diligence. Envy has to sacrifice into kindness. And hate into patience. And pride into humility. Then the 7 beasts are sacrificed, and they work for you. But it's not for you, it's also your family and your society. So what does it mean when they say Buddhism is tolerant? Do whatever you want, anytime you want. That's the 7 chakras, which has to be opened. It means you sacrifice pride, and it becomes humility. Why are they called deadly sins? Because slowly, so people come to the temple to meditate because they want to be more aware, to be in the moment. But what do you mean really by being in the moment? Just blindlessly walking around and satisfy all your short-term emotions and instincts? Or do you really, or actually want to be in the moment, in the sense that you step by step working on your goal? When I see our kids, they have no challenges mentally and physically. So they are not feeling comfortable in their own skin. Somehow, I remember in history lesson at school, in the French Revolution, it was a saying that the revolution eats its own children. And when I look at our kids, it seems that our society, the revolution of becoming independent of each other, just produced kids who don't know who they are. They're not feeling comfortable in their own skin and in their own minds, kind of lost. So the revolution some decades ago divorced kids from the parents, divorced literally their own self from a mother and a father. They have no trust in dialogue, nor in other humans. So they're looking for an algorithm, a computer, and make this the new parent, the new God. And actually, they put themselves equal to animals. Because what we showed to them is look for yourself. But as a child, somehow it became a sickness. And when something becomes sick, you have two opportunities. You want none of it, or you want all of it. You fall into these two extremes. So now the revolution starts to eat. It eats its own children. That's like when you pass the midlife. You have to be very, very careful that you will not fall into the trap of resentment. We are not planning wisely. Do you want to become a grandparent? Actually, we pretend that it's better, that a dice decides about us. That happens when a whole society grew up during a divorce. So the society just acts out. 30 years, 40 years later, in this crucial 10 years of growing up. And now this generation tries to fix it, tries to fix the hole in their hearts. But as it goes, you need a long-term view. How can you manage to have healthy grandchildren? Because you are traumatized that the whole society, father and mothers, divorced. So we make a factual error. And whatever we do, it will result in the wrong result. Whatever we intend, we just make the opposite. But it's difficult to change because we invested already so much. What's actually, that's why everything is spiritual. That means personal. And that means, at the end, political. Because without religion, there is no you. So when the young couples are asking if I can do the wedding ceremony for them, I ask them, especially the husbands, how will you provide for your grandchildren? What will you do? What will you show them? So the monks, 800 years ago, should be proud, not proud for themselves, but proud for our generation of monks. So the whole generation, the divorced generation, grew up fatherless. And now the revolution eats its children. But it's a sweet death with pride, envy, greed, lust, gluttony, and laziness. They walk into the mouth of their parents and celebrating and feeling good and happy. So what's the telos of the monks and nuns? So that's why actually only a few come for meditation. Because when you meditate, you sit down to meditate. You cook to meditate. You work to meditate. You speak to meditate. You listen to meditate. You see to meditate. Whatever you do, it is to meditate. And to see the consequences. And that's no easy task. Because you see all, not the bullseyes, but all the other ones you missed. And the deadly sins are showing their faces. But that's what you have to face. They don't care about you. They don't care. So your very own logos, the mustard seed, the divine nature, the spark of God, or Buddha nature, is crystal clear. Like any seed, when there is no seed, it has already sprouted. But you have to know the different blossoms, because some are deadly and some are life-giving. Like the two trees in the Garden of Eden, the tree of death and the tree of life. But I guess one looks much more pretty. Thank you very much.